UNPAVED, Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, a great NFL analyst, a former NFL quarterback.
To me, Tom Brady is the GOAT because he's done more with less than any player at that position we've ever had.
All right, welcome into UNPAVED. I'm Sean, Adam Sager along for the ride as well. Segs, come on in here. Let me plug my shit in here, Segs. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving you a little taste. Even though this is the home studio, but when the warehouse studio, because in between when I'm walking around, because I'm gonna, do some demonstrations, I'll show you how to hit in a simulator, which you don't know how to do. Okay, yeah, I mean, you're hitting driver from like on the deck from like 120. Okay, say with a 20-degree lofted driver. You and I played together. I don't know why you feel like you need to do that. You're a strong guy.
I'd outdrive you today, and I haven't swung a golf club in 2 years.
I'm going to tell you right now, Sage, you may get me once in a while. You ain't getting me today, dude. I'm just telling you that now, okay? But we'll get to that. So, in the studio, be moving around, honestly. So, and I just got a little bit of change-up pitch today, Sage. I'm feeling it. Walking around. If you want to feel the breeze, maybe some old cellar, maybe take a hit out of the thing, whatever it is, just walking around. So, lot going on. And I'm pissed because we coddle some people, Sage. I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I don't care if you're gay women or gay women's basketball players or no to be gay. Okay. I don't care. None of us should. I think we're past the gay thing, right, Sigs? I mean, Maybe we're not, just like the race thing. It's tired and it is fatiguing. But I know we got a lot to talk about today. It's great to be with you, Adam G. Sager. I'm Sean at Sean Unfiltered, and we are expanding and growing. We got Bailey, obviously, as a producer. Always appreciate him. And Laura and anybody else that joins in. It's great to have you in. Sigs, take it away. It's a Friday, and I am going to play, and I'm going to shore my game up. I can't wait to see you again when I bury you and take your money, but we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, before we get to that, I'm calling a 93 for you today on your 18. Let's get
there
to
is no friggin' way. Back tees with a putter and a pitching wedge. I ain't shooting 93 today. Okay.
The two last first overall picks in the WNBA draft, both from UConn, Azzi Fudd and Paige Bueckers.
I love that you could pronounce their names too, Sages. I know you watch. You got a daughter.
I do, yeah. I mean, big time into the WNBA community.
Next, Peyton Clark, your daughter, right there, brother.
Yes, I just had to look and make sure what the team name for Dallas was. I knew they were both in Dallas, but I wasn't 100% sure the team name. Is it the Dallas Wings? Yes, it is.
There you go.
Yes, it is. So the reason this is kind of leading off our show today is because Azzi Fudd was just drafted this year, just a few days ago, as the #1 pick. And Paige Bueckers, who is now her teammate, was also a teammate at UConn, made official last summer when she put on, I think it was Instagram, that they were dating. The two players were dating in a relationship. And nothing's really been out there about it over the last, let's say 9-10 months. They haven't been out public or anything like that. But that's what Bueckers said about 10 months ago last summer. So we say all this because they get back to Dallas, they do their introductory press conference with all the local media, and a reporter asks Azzi Fudd about her relationship with Paige Bueckers and if she's reached out to any of the other players in the WNBA about navigating a relationship in the league together.
At work, though, Sex. The dynamic on the dynamic at work.
Yes.
That's what the reporter asked.
Yep. And as you see here in it, she doesn't really get to answer. He asked the question, and before she can say anything, really, the PR person steps in and says she will not be answering any questions about her personal life. Sean, go ahead, take it away. How do you feel about this situation with two players reportedly dating on the same team? And
well, things that I mentioned, this has nothing to do with the gay stuff. Nobody cares anymore. The reporter absolutely should ask this question.
Yeah.
And when they say we're not going to talk about private lives, I'm sorry to tell you, you guys made it public, and public dynamic does matter when it comes to sports. It just does. It does, because listen, we had Chipper Jones on this show. Just a little side story. Interviewed Chipper Jones, and Chipper was going through when he was going through marriage struggles. Came to the ballpark manager, said, "Oh, he was struggling with that." So even forget the gay stuff, marriage, relationship. Nobody cares about that. Good on them. And if you're one that does care that they're gay, then you're the problem, right? Yes. Nobody cares. This is a work dynamic, just like it would be if it was a heterosexual relationship where, Segs, it's you and your wife, or me and my relationship, or whoever it is. And it does affect you. Don't let anybody kid. Well, they're grown adults. Grown adults act like children plenty of time. The PR team fucked this up. And it's embarrassing. Grown women should be able to answer the question. You see her turn to her like it was the crutch, like, you answered for me. You're getting paid. You're great players. There's been more recognition and more eyes and ears watching your sport. So answer the question. It's not that difficult. Right. It's not like the reporter said. Say, very respectful. I heard it. Very respectful. Just asked about the dynamic at work. I mean, what if somebody comes to work bloated and they're mad, or they freeze the girlfriend out because they had a fight the night before? It also affects the other 10 players.
Yes, it does.
He didn't ask about, hey, when you two are canoodling at home and you're about to sit down, are you guys talking about how Caitlin Clark hung 40 on you and you're making more money than ever because of her? No. But this is an opportunity to sell your league when somebody asks a question. Yep, we got a relationship. It won't affect it. We're professionals. We get paid. We're grown-ass women, and it's going to be fine. So there was nothing there. But the dynamic does get affected, Segs. You go to work, you're having a bad day, all of a sudden somebody's talking and doing, and you affect the others. Think about it, Segs, if you're at work, if you're a salesperson and you go in and you got in a fight with your wife at home, an argument, you come in, or you're dating somebody at work, and all of a sudden the sales team's mad, that person goes behind the back, they're wondering why this, then you got people taking sides. This is absolutely an appropriate question. He didn't ask, well, does being gay women basketball players affect you? No, that's not what he asked. He simply talked about the dynamic of a relationship of two women who care about each other and in a relationship when it comes to basketball at work. And that's how I took it. If this is the way we're going, then you're going to continue to turn eyes away, and we'll just say, here we go again. Why do they need protected? First pick of the draft, we want to know. It's a relationship. Yeah. We asked a relationship about Russ Wilson and his wife. We talk about Josh Allen, who just got married.
Yep.
The dynamic at work. Had the guy have asked about what they're doing when they're at home, inappropriate.
Yes.
Had the guy asked, well, what do two gay women do at home? Inappropriate. Listen, nobody cares about the gay. The WNBA is the poster child for what's the month called? No, for Pride Month. Say, well, nobody cares. See, I don't even remember the Pride. Nobody cares.
Right.
But what we do care about is the dynamic and how it affects basketball. And she's a grown-ass woman. She should answer. Shame on the Dallas and their franchise and their PR woman for thinking she has to be the crutch and the protective and the suit of armor for these girls. You're the first pick of the draft. You're in a relationship with two former #1 picks and two teammates now. What happens if you get in a battle at home? Does it affect the work dynamic?
Right.
Now, this is an appropriate question. Keep asking. The guy wasn't out of line. The PR person was. Screw the Dallas Wings. Screw the Dallas Wings on this. You just set your team back. So what? We're never allowed to ask about it? At home, off limits. At work, it's appropriate because it also affects the other 10 or so players and coaching staff on that team if the dynamic starts. What if they break up? Say, what if they break up? What if all of a sudden, well, they're not going to break up. Relationships break up all the time. What if all of a sudden there's a third party in there and they start dating somebody else on the team? I know there's what ifs. At home, not our business. At work, if it affects the play, it's absolutely the business, and especially the organization when you're the one paying the salary, and the salaries are bigger. Why? Because the game's getting better for the women. They should have answered this and was inappropriate not to.
Sean, what's the biggest story going right now over the last week and a half? Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini. It's all about a relationship. And
that's not only affected dynamic sex, that's affected livelihoods and jobs and families.
Yes. I mean, and like you said, the big thing here is they're in a relationship and they're teammates. It's not like it's, like you said, Josh Allen, Russ Wilson, they're married to famous celebrities.
But they're not teammates.
Yeah,
exactly.
And they get asked about their relationship and stuff like that. And that has nothing to do with football. This has on the court reactions when like you said, if something happens with another woman on the team, with one of them, how does that it's just, we've never seen anything like this. Of course we're going to have questions when it comes to the dynamic of the locker room when two of the players are dating. This would happen in the men's locker room,
right? Two great players, two former college teammates, two professional. I mean, the dynamic, and you're exactly right, Six. But if Josh Allen went through 3 games of struggle and newlywed or was having a baby, man, are you getting some sleep at night? We ask Scheffler that all the time. Another baby, did you get the rest? You missed it. So he wasn't even making the negative dynamic.
No.
Kind of how you navigate it, because this is we know WNBA players date each other, but usually they're on separate teams. This is 2 great players. The league's watching because they're both first picks of the draft. So the dynamic is fair. The question's fair. There shouldn't be one person question, well, he's intruding on their private life. No, he's not. He's intruding on their public life without intruding. He's asking a simple question. So if this is the way we're going to do it, and we're going to put kid gloves and protect them because, well, they're women and they play on the same team, we can't ask. Nobody asked if they were banging at home.
Right.
Nobody cares. If somebody does care, then that's their problem. This gentleman simply wanted to know how the dynamics affect him. And you know what, Segs? If something does happen and there's a relationship problem, if a woman asked it, what would happen? What if a former WNBA player, Rebecca Lobo, decided to ask, will we let it go, and they'd answered it? Probably, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a gender issue. My point is that a way to grow the league is be transparent. You don't have to tell us what you guys do in your private time, but at work and what's going on, there's other people. There's collateral damage in a good way or collateral damage in a bad way, but there can be really great stuff. But this is the opportunity to continue to grow it. I just don't understand every single little sensitive. They don't deserve any more protection than the NBA players or the NFL players or anybody else. The dynamic is important at work. Nobody cares about their home life. I sure shit don't.
And let's be real. The question he asked, like you said, was a softball question. He set it up perfectly for her to talk about, like you said, we're 2 grown women. We spent time together at UConn. We know each other from there as players, as teammates, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're out here to win basketball games. Like, that's all she's got to say.
Thanks. You know what would have been great?
They made this such a bigger deal than if she just answered the question. We wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Right. It'd be gone. And Sakes, you know what else? It was kind of oh man, this is awesome. Hey, how's this dynamic affect? Perfect opportunity to kind of say, listen, we've both been in big time programs.
Yep. We
have a great relationship. It won't affect what we do because we're going to be able to hang it outside when we come in the building and compartmentalize if we're having good. This no effect. This is our home life. We come to work. We treat it as professionals, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Just like you would if you were a husband and wife police officer team in their job or anybody else. It was an opportunity to say simply, we're grown-ass women. We're growing the league. I can answer this question. It wasn't invasive. It wasn't prying on their private life. And to answer the question, somebody said, nice blouse. Yeah, it's my little quarter zip pink. I'm a grown-ass man. I can wear pink. Segs. You feel good about the blouse?
I think it's all right.
Maybe it's respect. Maybe it's respect that men can wear pink too. You want to know about the dynamic of me and my pink shirt?
No.
I want my PR person to answer that.
Okay.
Okay.
You just
got it.
Tell them to let me know when I can ask about it.
Question should have been answered, and anybody that gets on the reporter who asked it is sensitive and and needs to go check themselves. That's a them problem, and that's a Dallas Wings problem. Should have let them answer it and move on, because we wouldn't even be having this conversation today. We would have blown it off like we would anything else.
Well, I mentioned the Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel drama going on that has led to Diana Rossini's resignation from The Athletic. Well, USA Today Sports independent contractor Chrissy Freud was basically fired.
It's Floyd, isn't it? I think it's Floyd, isn't it?
I don't know.
Is it Floyd? Chrissy Floyd, I think. Six.
Freud.
Did I hit that on there?
F-R-O-Y-D.
Oh, Freud. Okay.
Yeah, Freud.
And that's on that.
They basically fired her. They told her to
the
get
R and the L.
step in.
Yeah, my bad.
Because she tweeted after replying to Rossini's resignation letter that she posted on Twitter. I'm sure you were told to submit this or that you'd get fired instead. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. We know who you really are and what you've been up to for years. It does so much detriment to women in sports who have done things the right way. And then Chrissy Freud on Twitter after being fired, she says, quote, I struggle to understand the positioning here after that was published, but that apparently I, as an independent contractor, cannot make my own statements on my own social media accounts. What do you think here? Do you think USA Today Sports did the right thing by letting Chrissy Freud go? Or should she, as an independent contractor, have that right to voice her opinion on one of the biggest stories that, let's face it, does involve her as a female reporter in the sports world? Where do you stand on that?
One thing I know about this, wasn't there an article also recently by a big reporter that, when I say big, I mean a popular one, that said, was talking about that an article, what Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel did, and specifically Diana Rossini, because they're going to be under more pressure because they're women. Wasn't there an article written, and probably more an opinion out there, that this, and we've said it has a chance. Every woman's affected by this. It's in that business.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you basically, even in a roundabout way, you don't want to represent women. You do. Why? Because the women segs out there have had to fight an uphill battle on a regular basis in this business. And quite frankly, it's getting better, but they still, if they're not in the sport, people criticize them that they're talking about a sport. It is a battle for women. But we see the Holly Rose and the Susie Culvers and the really good, and I'm sure Diana Rossini is respected in the business, or was, about this. But this one situation here, I'm sure the USA Today's response would be, even though you put it on Twitter or on your social media, that you're still a representative of us because we employ you, even if it's independently contracted, right, Segs? So I think it's kind of weak because you basically said your opinion doesn't matter. If USA Today does their due diligence on this, was Chrissy right? I don't know about the depth of what she knows. I do know this, that women on a regular basis will be affected by what Diana Rossini said, because the collateral damage there is coach is now going to be a little nervous to talk to her or other reporters, because they're going to think somebody got extra information. They're going to think we're sleeping together. Then the wives are going to think we're banging. And then you start to look deeper into the situation and wonder, was it a husband or wife that sent that camera person there to double check on that situation to catch him in doing this? So as far as this, the Chrissy situation, I only know what I've read as well. I think you're asking for people to voice their opinion in a business, and women who have this uphill battle, and this umbrella is going to be placed over them. People are going to put a blanket statement on women, unfortunately, because there's a lot of great ones. But do I think somebody should be fired for that? Absolutely not. It's an opinion. And I read a few other things. She was pretty transparent about her approach in the business.
Yeah.
But USA Today and anybody else reserves the right, if they're sending you a paycheck to do what they want. It's a bummer, because I think this whole situation damages voices and credibility of women who have great credibility. I think it's a bummer, and we're so quick to pull the trigger. And we also take responsibility when we post something that there could be backlash. And I think Chrissy said that she's willing to deal with basically, and this is my words, the arrows that are being set her way. But there's going to be plenty that agree with her as well. The whole thing about this, Saints, is when you decide to jump into a alleged relationship, the optics are horrible, and it affects great performers, meaning great reporters and journalists in this business. And we're going to ask the question every time something comes out. Well, if that person banging the coach, that's what you're going to hear on a regular basis, even if they're not. Optics and perception are real in the journalist business. They just are. And I feel bad for the journalists because they're going to have to defend something they sure shouldn't have to defend because one person did this.
What do you make of, and this is a kind of an angle we have not talked about yet when we discuss this topic. What do you make of TMZ? What do you make of ESPN? What do you make of USA Today? What do you make of these major media outlets that basically, I don't want to say haven't covered it, but haven't talked about it? Like TMZ reportedly got the pictures offered to them first for an undisclosed amount of money. They said no. Now, this is TMZ. They're buying photos and shit like this all the time. It was finally the New York Post who took it and ran with it. And ESPN. I mean, ESPN is more of this kind of crap than ever right now when it comes to like tabloids, news, and that kind of shit in sports. This is one of the bigger stories in sports, and ESPN's barely even covered it, if they have, on Get Up or on Stephen A. Smith Show, whatever that's called, and other shows like that. What do you make of major media outlets kind of ignoring this story? Does it tell you that maybe there's something even bigger going on, not with so much Rossini and Vrabel, but overall in the media landscape?
Segs, let me tell you a little something. There are plenty of buildings, male or female. Trust me, I know. I lived it, was affected by it. I get it. If you don't think for 1 minute, I don't know the specific building or people, it has gone quiet. It's like people are afraid to comment on it because if you comment on it, somebody's going to take a look and say, well, what's the problem? I think more people are saying, why is this gone? Why have you pushed this aside? Why aren't you covering it like you would if it was somebody else doing this? Yeah. And I think it becomes a problem. And then you start to get your credibility question. And that doesn't mean you just go in all in and bury Vrabel or Diana Rossini. Segs, do you think these buildings want access to the NFL players and coaches? If all of a sudden you decide, and I don't know, I'm not in the editorial, I've been in the editorial decisions when they've made decisions to squelch something or not. They got a lot of really good, at all these networks, they got a lot of really good female reporters and journalists. Maybe they don't want them looking into somebody else. Maybe they know somebody's been through their HR department. Maybe they know this has happened and it happened with somebody that they employ. I don't know, but I do know this. And if you think this doesn't exist, you're full of shit and you're naive. That access to players and coaches is everything in this. Everything. So what do? New England's right up there. If you start hammering Vrabel, you don't have much access to the New England Patriots.
Right.
And if all of a sudden you start hammering Vrabel and people dig deeper and this slithers through to another coach or another organization, guess what they all do? They turn and sprint for the hills, and you don't get that information anymore, which means you finish in second to the person who does get it. I'm not saying that's because I don't know, Saints. I'm just telling my opinion from a distance and haven't been in buildings before. If you don't think they cover up stuff that's gone on, they'll throw some under the bus that they don't care about and use you as an example and kick you in the ass and say, fend for yourself, and then they'll protect the others. I do find it odd. And you don't have to go out there and destroy Vrabel and Rossini until you have what you're supposed to have, journalistic integrity in those buildings. And you can't just cover the stuff that suits you. And part of it, and whether it's this or that, I don't know, because the truth is, I don't know the executives in a lot of these buildings or who's doing the editorial. Nope, we're not talking about that. But it is awfully curious that in a situation where access can be affected, we're pushing it by the wayside. And it is curious that some of these great female journalists have stayed away from it. And unfortunately, if they get good information, I'm never questioning how Holly Rowe gets her information, ever. I don't care what happened to Diana Rossini. I know how good she is. I'm never questioning how the male Marty Smith, let's go to the male side, okay? And I don't think Marty Smith's sleeping with an NFL head football coach, but you get my point, Six. There are some who I just won't question. It'd be a big shock. But if we think only one's doing it, you and I both know we're kidding ourselves. But why chase a ghost and borrow trouble? I mean, people make mistakes all the time. Raise my hand, you, all of us. And anybody that questions somebody, open up your own computers, your own phones, your own relationships, and whoop, we don't want that. Part of it is I don't think they want you treading any closer to their building, and they don't want to lose access, is my opinion on. I'm not just talking about ESPN or Fox. I'm talking about anybody that's covering. You have a journalistic, if you're covering football, you have an obligation to cover this.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have an obligation to throw shit against the wall and hope it sticks, but to do exactly what you'd ask your team to do if they were doing some investigative reporting on steroids or on a player who's doing the betting scandal. We covered that in a hurry, didn't we, Segs?
Yep.
Access to NFL coaches and players is everything. And it feels to me like, let's only get a third of it. Let's kind of throw it out there, but we're not going to get hard. Where's the hardcore opinion on the set of some of these shows? You're not seeing it. Why? Because they've been told don't cover it. That's a fact. And you and I both know.
Yeah. All right. We got some breaking news here from the NFL world. Will Anderson and the Houston Texans agreed to a new contract. It's a 3-year, $150 million extension with $100 million fully guaranteed. So we've been saying it for months here that he was going to get $50 million. We saw what Micah Parsons, we saw what some of these other guys got in terms of the edge market. So he sets the new standard for non-quarterback pay, and rightfully so. He's the youngest. He's put up huge numbers in his rookie deal, and now it's time for him to get paid like it. And he inks the $50 million a year contract, the first one that's a non-quarterback. So it's a 3-year, $150 million extension with $100 million fully guaranteed. This is obviously a no-brainer for the Houston Texans.
Yeah, well, Siggs, it appears to me that everybody out there that loves listening to good sports talk and getting after it should be tuned into us, because we've been saying it for a while. He'll get the deal done before Stroud. Take Anderson first, Stroud second. Stroud's got more to prove, even though, and I said that either way, both of these deals will be done before either the season. I said Will Anderson's will be done before we start in August. Yeah. Boom. And so did you. I said, somehow, some way, whether it's bad or good, before the season's over, CJ Stroud's either going to know it's getting extended in a big way or it's not. And it may be the first month, and we don't negotiate during the season. It's bullshit. They'll negotiate when they're getting paid that. Will Anderson deserves every penny. Will Anderson will win a most valuable player on the defensive side award in this league at least once. Will Anderson is now, you go through the guys in little age groups, Segs, right? Mm-hmm. The TJ Watts and the Myles Garrett. We saw we're still seeing guys, the Bosas, you start to go down. The new era of, his teammate on the other end, Daniil Hunter. He's in that, he's been a consistent, great pass rusher. Now we've stepped down to the youth. And as far as youth goes, the Michael Parsons, the Will Andersons, this is the next level. He'll win a Defensive Player of the Year award. This is just adding to the stability of what is arguably, and it's not a big argument, the best defense in the league. Seattle, there's a few that can argue it, but not many can. And Will Anderson is the bell cow on that defense. You never hear a negative thing about him. The guy shows up and plays, doesn't threaten to hold out, takes care of his business. This is a great get, worth every penny. And you're looking at a phenomenal player down the road for the next decade. Pencil it in. And he hasn't even touched the surface with how good he's going to be as a sack guy. He's still learning moves and how to. And he continues to put the work. And I've sat here and watched him since he came into this league and watched him at Bama here in Houston. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that if you get through 5 names of guys on, not just on the rise, that are there, deserve the money, and there should be no question about it, this is one of those guys in the league that you say, damn, these guys get paid a lot. That's quarterback money, Segs, that we're paying edge rushers, and rightfully so. Will Anderson's one of the better players on defense in the league. And without him, the Houston Texans would be much different. This is a smart move, and I like that it's 3 years, Segs. I do. See, continue. Yeah,
so you add in his 5th-year option, which I believe is like 20. It might be a little lower than that.
This year coming up, right?
Yeah,
this year coming
up. So you got, you got a good amount of money attached to him, But Sean, here's one thing. Let me throw this at you real quick because I know how you've been about this in the past. And they kind of set a precedent here. They gave him a full no trade clause.
Yeah, I hate
I
it.
know you've been against that. Since I've known you, you've been against no trade clauses because it sets that precedent for the next guy to come in and get a contract extension. If it's CJ Stroud saying he got it, I want it now. So where do you stand on that? Yeah.
Well, my dogs are telling you they don't like no trade clause either. Listen, it's a 3-year deal. I just paid you $100 million guaranteed. I'm not trading you. We're not that stupid. You're too good to trade. My no trade clause comes in the guaranteed money. Says, well, I know in this case, if it was a 9-year deal, it's a formality. I hate no trade clauses. I hate opt-outs in baseball. I just paid you $150 million. Why do I got to add on no trade clause? I'm not trading you. And quite frankly, why would I know it controls it. Why, if you get the guaranteed money and it's a 3-year deal, imagine if he continues to play like he's played, what this next contract's going to look like.
Oh, it's going to be massive.
And it's just, I know it's semantics. Well, we got a no trade clause. Oh, it's just kind of a feel good thing. Nobody's trading the guy. The Texans aren't that stupid, I'd hope. He's not going to fall off the earth and quit football the next year. So to me, why give it? But in this case, it's like, sure, we're not trading you. I'll slap it on the end of the contract. But I'm just against them because I've absolutely, and in this case, since it's such a short-term deal with a lot of guaranteed money, the no trade clause was built in the first place. But for me, you don't get to dictate if I want to move you. I run the organization. You go play. We paid you handsomely for your production, and rightfully so. But in a 3-year deal with a guy who's not even reached the prime of his career, it's kind of semantics when it comes to this no trade clause. But you're right. I'm adamantly against it. And if I was an owner or general manager, you would never, ever, ever. Well, I'm not signing. I got news for you. You think he signs a 3-year, $150 million extension, Segs, if they don't give him the no trade clause? Of course he does.
Yes.
Of course he does. So to me, it's white noise, but it is noise, and I hate it. I think you said, and you know what? If they sign Stroud, guess what he's going to get?
The no trade
clause. A no trade clause. And at quarterback, it's a little different. If you sign in 5 or 6 years or longer, whatever it is, now you're taking the risk that he'll go to hell in a handbasket and play shitty, and now we can't move you for that. We've seen it. Couldn't move to it, could you? Segs. I don't even know if he had a no trade clause, but I understand why the player wants it. But I don't understand why the organization gives it, because you lose full control of your football team. The 3-year deal, nobody cares because it'll never come up in the next 3 years. The guy's too good.
Yeah, and that's where, it's not a big deal for Will Anderson. It's what other guys come behind him that you don't want to give it to, but you've given that that power to. So, and
it'll come up in the Stroud talks. Segs, it will come up in the Stroud talks, no doubt.
So, real quick, just to finalize his contract now, he'll make he'll have an $11 million cap hit this year. He'll have $21 million in 2027. That finishes out his rookie contract, and then the 3 years start. So total, it's about 5 years. Say roughly $180 million. Yeah,
because he and Stroud both completed year 3, right? Segs.
Yes.
So they got 2 years left, and then the extension kicks in a couple years. It's a great gig, man. It's a great gig for him. But with this, Segs, just curious, you could trade him in the next 2 years, right?
See, that's where I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure if that gets on immediately, and it's.
But isn't it illegal to add it immediately? I guess if you could, it's not illegal. I guess you go in and add an addendum to your current contract, say, let's apply it now.
Yeah.
But if it is part of the extension, which doesn't kick in, he's not going anywhere, but it does allow others to say, well, he got it, I want mine. And especially if you're a quarterback and you're productive. And this team's right now success, a lot of it hinges on who is CJ Stroud in 2026. It just does. If he's who we think he can be, like a rookie year, and advance and get better, the Houston Texans are going to be a heavy favorite at the top of the AFC to be one of those teams that is battling for February. They're that good defensively.
Yes, 100%. When we get back after our quick commercial break, we're going to talk about some comments Zay Flowers made about John Harbaugh's practices in Baltimore and what he feels it led to. And then Joe Flacco spoke about the NFL adding an 18th regular season game. We'll get to both of those when we come back. But first, tell me about Augusta Precious Metals.
Augusta Precious Metals. Guys, when you're protecting what you've already earned, IRA, 401k, it's not taxed when it comes to gold and silver and precious metals. Let's discuss moving forward how you're going to protect what you've already earned. Protect what matters most with gold and silver. Augusta Precious Metals is your premier gold IRA company. Diversify, protect, preserve. Hedge against inflation. That's what this does. Precious metals, they are tangible assets. Protect retirement savings. That retirement you've already earned, is cash doing that? Physical gold and silver, education first approach, no sales tactics at Augusta Precious Metals. That's why I was drawn to them. Drawn to them because they're not pressuring you and hammering you over the head with something. They're trying to educate you so you know what's best for you, your family, your peace of mind, your security now, later, and in the distant future. How much time you have, how much money you have. Precious Metals. It's your premier gold IRA company. That is Augusta Precious Metals. Secure your future with tangible assets. Visit SeanBuysGold.com. SeanBuysGold.com. Gold and silver continue to rise. And it's one of those, there's no guarantees in life or in sports or in money, but I'll be damned if gold and precious metals isn't about as close as you're going to get. Text Sean to 35052. Again, there's no guarantees, but there is a guarantee that you'll get educated on precious metals. Again, text Sean to 35052 or go to SeanBuysGold.com. SeanBuysGold.com. Free information, no obligation, guidance, education, and confidence. SeanBuysGold.com.
All right. Thank you to Augusta Precious Metals as always. All right, Sean. Ravens wide receiver Zay Flowers was on a podcast talking about what it was like with John Harbaugh as the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. And this is what he had to say about the practices and what it probably led to for the Ravens.
With tackling damn near
in practice?
Y'all was tackling in practice?
Bro, we full pads.
All the time. I'm be real. I ain't with that.
The NFLPA on the line.
However many practice pads you can get.
Yeah.
Oh, you getting them?
He using
Every
them.
single one.
100%.
Jesus.
Bro, we doing one-on-ones week 17.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Right. Why my ankle hurt.
Week 17,
hell?
we doing one-on-ones. Everybody out there, you tired. You
So
still going.
physically, your body, like, how you manage that though? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Don't like that's why low key. That's why we had a lot of like injuries. Like,
yeah.
Cause how we practiced, how we went, like yeah. But I talked to the new coach. He worked with Harbaugh in 2017, so he know how it was. Like he know that how we work with Harbaugh. So he like, you gonna get your work, but like it's gonna be a little bit easier, like on your body. Where you're gonna be fresher for the game.
Right.
So that was the first talk I had with him. Like, hey, how practice gonna look? How
Yeah, no, that's
Real
Cause
right.
bro, on Friday, like we run it all week. Then Saturday, Saturday, I'm like, damn, my legs.
You still shot.
Yeah. So now my legs pick up. My legs start to recover on Saturday.
Segs, Zay Flowers is on to something, dude. I'm just telling you. I am telling you one, and that's hard for me when it comes to John Harbaugh. You know, I love toughness, and you know how I am. A big reason why Septembers are so struggle a lot of times, Segs, we shorten training camp with the new CBA. Guys practice less, get paid more, training camp shorter, and you show up, and you can't simulate that unless you're beating the hell out of each other during preseason, and guys are, and then you're not ready. Think about coaches. Well, we got to be physical in the preseason, but not too physical. We don't want to play our guys a lot in the preseason games, so we want to make sure they're healthy. Yet then you reverse that, and as the season goes along, guys are tired, which mechanics are going to suffer. They're not in the same position. In week 14, you're beating the shit out of each other. It's only logical you're going to get hurt. Zay Flowers is spot on. Now, I don't know. I've never played for a John Harbaugh team, but I can only imagine. Is there something to the reason why the Baltimore Ravens can't get over the hump? Now, there's going to be some to say, oh, don't be soft. That's a pussy way to go about football. You got to toughen up. Listen, thumping can work where you don't drag people to the ground. Beating on each other, this has nothing to do with are you tough or not. Now, the opposite is if you're never hitting, you see those teams that are, I watched the Miami Dolphins play last couple of years, Segs, and there's a part of me, and I don't know, but there's a part of me that says, did you guys ever hit anybody? Or did you just play 7-on-7 football for 2 hours on practice? Zay Flowers is spot on. I don't know about with John, but I can tell you this, when Denny Green came to Minnesota, Go talk to Steve Young or Jerry Rice or anybody in San Francisco. The last part of the season, they practiced in shorts and shells and helmets. They saved their legs. And Denny brought that. He used to coach Jerry Rice, wide receiver coach. Denny brought it to Minnesota. Even though we didn't win a Super Bowl, the other team beat us, we made mistakes. It was not because we were tired and worn out. And listen, the part I disagree with Zay Flowers is having one-on-one drills and getting off press coverage. That's okay to do that for a couple, but once you break off press, drill's over and go finish the route. But beating on each other, maybe one drill. See, we used to go, okay, 9-on-7 saves. We go out to practice. 9-on-7, for people that don't know, is our run game drill where you run 12 to 15 run plays. And it's physical, but we don't want you bringing the back to the ground. So what happens is you do that in full gear, and then coach say, take the pads off for the next hour and 15, 20 minutes of practice to freshen legs as we got into seasons 8, 9, and 10. And every now and again, one practice, we'd have to have a drill, a reminder to make sure we're keeping that physical nature thought process.
Right.
But your body breaks down, man. We're asking, and now we're going to add another game. The body breaks down, says he is right. And by the end, you heard Zay Flowers, man, Saturday, and his legs are dead. There is something to teams that wear out. And no, I don't come from a soft, I come from old school, beat on each other and do it. But the smart coaches know how, and John's a smart guy. John's going to have to adjust and adapt too, where you got to know when to beat on him and when to say, you know what, we're in week 12. My team needs a break. You got to instill we're physical and then also let them know. And that's why I always say players and coaches need to learn how to practice. Just being a tough guy, macho man, and beating the hell out of each other for 18, 19, 20 straight weeks, you will wear out. But the lineman got to stand. It's a mentality. You don't want to go in finesse all the time, but you cannot do it for 18 straight. You just can't. You cannot do it. You've got to practice hard, learn how to practice out, bringing guys to the ground and thump and move and do all that without full gear every day, all the time for a season. If John was doing that, and I believe in what Zay's talking about, there is part of the reason why at the end the Baltimore Ravens may wear out. Now, some teams like to hit harder. Some teams are a little more finesse. But there's got to be a time to back off. Full gear pads in week 18, every practice, week 17. You are going to get players hurt. There's going to be attrition. And I got news for you. You are going to wear out. Zay Flowers is on to something. You can't beat each other up for 20 weeks. You just can't do it.
Here's the thing, and our guy Isaiah in the comments was right with me because I was looking this up when Zay Flowers was talking. Sean, you get 14 padded practices from the first day of the regular season to the last day. You
Part
only,
of the CBA.
Yes, you only get 3 padded practices in the last 6 weeks of the season. So it's not like.
So how are they doing this?
Yeah, it's not like Harbaugh's out there running padded practices every single day. The NFLPA would be up his ass in a second. So this is where I kind of come back, and I get exactly what you're saying.
And I'm agreeing with you on this. If it's a little embellishment because they had to practice,
yeah,
period. Right.
So the last 6 weeks of the season, of the regular season, you have 3 padded practices, and that's too much for you as some of the best athletes in the world. This is where I'm kind of like, okay, you players got to lose me because you guys are now sounding like big pussies, and that's not what you guys are supposed to be like.
That's
you get what I'm saying?
Part where the pussification comes in. We're not on the track field, but the CBA didn't allow. We've had some coaches get fined and draft pick situation for doing stuff that the CBA doesn't allow, or one extra practice. They get in trouble. So that's why I said, if this is really happening, it would make sense why you would wear out. And it also makes sense why and it's like, this is odd. John's been around Andy Reid, been around the league a long time. Why in the world would he do something that he knows has a negative effect on him? You've got to instill physicality, and it's a mentality and a culture, but you got to know when to back off and say, hey, man, practicing for an hour and a half, we're getting in the pool, we're going to go play, we're going to go bowling. You got to know when, hey, it's 9-on-7, we got to thump today, it's physical, we've had our ass kicked at the line of scrimmage. But regardless of what you want to do, the rules only allow you to do so much. And that's the part I'm saying, if this is true, then you'd have to look into the Baltimore Ravens and say, were they practicing in pads when they shouldn't? John's smarter than that. But the other side is the other side where that pussification comes in. If you can't handle 3 padded practices in 6 weeks, then your mentality is the reason why the Baltimore Ravens haven't moved to the next level, and any other team that goes in with that. You can't not practice in pads at any time, because then you do lose your edge. You can't turn it on and off like a light switch. Football players and athletes just don't work that way. That's a rare combination.
And I'm sorry, the point where he said, like, oh, we were running on Fridays. Running is what you do. You're an athlete. If you're sore in week 15 from running,
Gotta get in shape.
then yeah, you got to be in shape at that point. So this is where, when, athlete, we talked about the NBA and they can't play back-to-backs, or they get 2 back-to-backs in a year, where, in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, they were playing 4 games in 5 nights at some points. And you didn't hear any complaining. Now like you said, the NBA playoffs last over 2 months because we can't play back-to-backs at all in the playoffs.
But now the NBA is filled with pussification and lack of physicality.
So that's where it's just you kind of I get they lose me when they start complaining about running. And when you really look into it, and it's 14 padded practices over 18 weeks. High school, they still pad almost every day.
Right. Segs, what's interesting about this too is, let me tell you what Friday practice is on a normal work week. Tuesday off, Wednesday hard day, Thursday semi-hard day. If you're going to put pads on or put a drill of pads on, Wednesday's usually your day, right? You're recovered from the weekend. You're back. Friday is special teams, shorts, shells, or shorts and helmets, depending on the coach. You're going through situational football.
Yeah.
You're going through, 3rd and 1, bam. You're putting special teams out. You are moving, you are running. You're not beating on each other, but it's still a practice. We go 2-minute drill, up and down. Okay, backups, the second team in, 2-minute drill, and go through all the specials. Okay, here we go, Big Ben or Hail Mary, whatever you call it. We call it Big Ben. People call it different things. You go through that. Red zone. Okay, we're at the 22. Move the football. You're moving it. You're moving crisply without beating on each other. And if anybody's putting on full pads on a Friday game, and that's their pad that week, then that coach is an idiot. Yeah. Now, you may go thump for about 4 or 5 plays with shoulder pads on, stay off people's. You can still be physical with a pair of shorts on. Yeah. Offensive, you can. You hit, hold, move, get to your guy, let the back run through, and we go. So what it is, Segs, just like we said after we heard the clip. In old school days, guys would wear out.
Yeah.
The CBA prevents you from doing it because fines will come in. The players have won at every stage when it comes to salaries, the way we practice, training camps. Most coaches are afraid that training camp's too short and you can't come out hot because you're not physical enough. So, I think John Harbaugh's smart on that. What happens is, it makes for a good story when you say we practice every single day at pads. If that means you went out there with shoulder pads and took them off, or practiced to drill with shoulder pads and shorts, that's not full practice.
Right.
And you are running around on Friday. Saturday's the walkthrough. We called it, you're flopping around and guys are in shorts and you go out there for an hour, you walk through. Hey, special teams, that's your day before game walkthrough, which is obvious. Yeah. Fridays, you got to practice. But, Segs, if the mentality in Baltimore was, man, we'll get if it's Zay Flowers, don't you think they've had the conversation in that locker room about John what was going on? If you start, what happens, it's like garbage in, garbage out. Chuck Knox used to say it. I'm not saying for Zay Flowers, but all of us, when we take that stuff in, what happens is one guy, then a second guy, and a third guy. And while you not be saying it to the coach, you're sitting back there saying, damn, we got to go out here and hit again, or we got to go out one practice short. And what happens is, and I know this sounds a little psychological, but psychologically, it's everything in football and the mentality of it. And in sports, what happens in 8 or 10 or 12 guys, and then you're out there saying, damn, why are we working this hard this late in the season? And then there's a mistake. And then what it is, it's the built-in excuse why you got your ass kicked.
Yep.
Baltimore's better than that. John Harbaugh gets it, but the rules don't allow you to practice every day, full speed in pads, or the coach would get fined and the organization would be in trouble. It always lands somewhere in the middle. It makes for a good story to say it happened every day, though.
Yeah.
And I get it. Right. It's a podcast and it's a show, but you can't wear guys out. You're not allowed to in the NFL, folks. Not anymore.
Yeah. It's just something that continues the pussification of sports in general, overall, as a full sports.
Well, it's player empowerment. They want to dictate everything that goes on.
Yes.
Most of, not all of them, but some. And then when you start to say it to your buddy who says it to your buddy, cliques happen in a locker room, whether it's Baltimore or anywhere else. We've all been a part of it.
Big time.
And before you know it, you got a negative attitude walking out there, and you wonder why you can't turn it on Sunday. There's not very many teams in the history of this league that could flop dick around for a week and still go out and win. Maybe the 70s Steelers, at times the Raiders, maybe the 49ers at times, maybe the Patriots. But I can assure you, championship teams don't flop dick around. They get business taken care of.
Yep. All right, that'll do it for Unpaved. On Monday, we'll have Coach JB. We're going to be getting ready for the draft as it's less than a week away now. It's next Thursday night is the first round. Friday night is the second and third, and then Saturday is the 4th through 7th. Get over to YouTube at Unpaved Sean Salisbury. Follow Sean at Sean Unfiltered, myself at Adam G. Sager. Thanks to Bailey, Laura, all our viewers, commenters. And Sean's getting ready to go shoot 93. 93.
Yeah.
Hey.
I got my one glove. 90.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not seeing 90 unless I'm at well, that's a lie. I may see 90, not to the middle. Just call me One Glove. That's all I want you to call me today.
All right. That's your new name from now on is One Glove. So thanks to everybody for watching. For One Glove, I'm Adam Sager. We'll be back Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. Coach JB will join us as he does every single Monday. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Unpaved Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, a great NFL analyst, a former NFL quarterback.